Hey, Hillcrest Church family. Man, I have sure missed gathering together with you all. This has been a unique experience. As an extrovert, I long to have social input, and so this has been a learning experience for me. And so it feels like there has been decisions that need to be made in the weeks and months ahead. And I imagine one of the biggest questions on a lot of our minds is, when are we getting back together on this campus? And so we just wanted to take a minute to address a question that probably many of you are asking, one that I have been thinking of in anticipation of getting back together. Because I'll tell you, when we arrived 10 months ago here from California, this is not the year that I anticipated having. But I have loved our experience at Hillcrest, and we long to get back together. And so we met with the elders, with our leadership team, and instead of putting some rules together, we felt like the best thing to do would determine 4 values that would help guide our decisions in the days ahead on what it would look like for us to get back together. And so for us, the first value, that first principle, is that Hillcrest is never closed. That though our building is closed, we've been looking in Ephesians and we see that the church is more than a building, that the church is the family. And so though our building has been closed, our church is not closed, and we've continued to go forward. I've loved seeing the ministries continue, and I've loved seeing the stories that are happening every Sunday morning from our people about what God's been doing in their life. And so a value for us that we want to continue to operate by is Hillcrest has not closed. We continue to go forward. And this gentleman to my right that's looking really tan, probably after a great Memorial Day weekend, what's one of our other values?
Yeah, one of our other values really is I think about who Hillcrest is, especially on Sunday mornings when we gather together. Ever since Jennifer and I first visited Hillcrest over 25 years ago, we walked in the door and Hillcrest is a family as we met together. People hugging, shaking hands, just all packed in together, enjoying one another. And so as we look at that value, it would be really difficult, I think, with the different parameters and limitations that we would have in place coming back too soon, that would remove a large part of who we are and who we are to one another on Sunday morning, being all separated by families in the auditorium, even wearing a mask, maybe even while we're trying to sing together. When service is over, people just getting up and walking out to their cars, and all the while keeping this imaginary 6-foot bubble around us from one another. I think that would be really difficult and would really change what Sunday morning is all about. I also look at our kids, and obviously kids are really important to us. We're redoing a bunch of our children's ministries rooms. We've hired Aaron to come in and lead that ministry. And and we want to make sure that our children are safe and that they are ready to gather together again too. So I look at what things might look like right now with families, with young kids, kind of isolated family by family in the auditorium for the length of the service, not allowing these kids to get back together because kids are kids. This physical distancing is a really hard thing for them to understand. So we want to wait on that until we can be sure that it's the right time to bring everybody together, including bringing all of our kids back together again.
And so what that second value is, we care about the community that we've known it to be, and we care about kids. I think the third, not only do we care about our community, but we actually care about the surrounding community around us and the gospel being proclaimed in how we at Hillcrest act and make decisions. And so we take that seriously. We want to be a beacon to the community around us, and for us, it's a big deal that we would take that seriously. And so in order to be a witness to the neighborhoods, to the community around us, we want to take that as a principle, as a value in the decisions we make, and honor our local government, our national government, and federal government, and the guidelines that they've put in place. as a reflection ultimately of our trust in God and the way Paul outlines and the way Peter outlines in their letters, that we want to trust God in the way we act, and then also in the way that reflects to our neighborhoods and community. I've heard from a few people that they've been tuning in. It's never been easier to actually invite people to engage and hear the gospel and engage with helping people find life with Jesus than it feels like now, by simply sharing something on social media about our live stream. And so I've been encouraged by hearing people that are tuning in, sometimes for the first time, that never have actually set foot in our building, and yet they're engaging in our community. And so I hope that encourages you in the way Hillcrest is sharing Jesus with the world around us. What's the fourth value that we're going to be guided by, Fred?
Well, one of the things that we've been looking at is this concept of change. And my goodness, these last 2 years around here at Hillcrest, there's hardly been 2 days together that have been similar. With Eric's leaving, you're arriving, and just when I thought things had started to settle in, all of this hits, and we have to kind of reinvent what our church community looks like. And so I am not a person who likes a lot of change. And so then this has been really difficult for me. And yet I know that we can't be too quick to try to get back to the way things were, because things are changing so much, even day to day and week to week. And so I know for me, I'm trying to look for the different opportunities that we have now because of where God has put us in our climate and in our culture today. So we want to make sure that we are slow and steady before we make a lot of decisions and change moving ahead, because we're living in a very fluid time, which has been difficult, but has been a time for me to learn more about myself, learn about trusting in the Lord, and waiting on Him patiently for what He has in store for us in the future.
So we want to remain agile and fluid, as feels like news comes minute by minute sometimes. We want to position ourselves to be able to adjust accordingly. And so the language you've heard before is still the language we're moving forward on, that we want to crawl, walk, and eventually run back to gathering on our campus. And you might see other churches making different decisions than we are. And we trust that God could be leading them differently, and that's okay. We want to learn, we want to grow from other communities and adjust accordingly, but may feel led to make different decisions in other communities. And we think in God's economy, that's okay. And so for us, crawling looks like continuing to renovate the lobby and the fellowship hall, that you're going to be seeing some hopefully refresh taking place in our physical space that we've been talking about, and in our digital space. But we think of one way we are going to continue to crawl is seeing the lobby completed. A second way, we want to continue to up all the things that we've been preparing for in terms of sanitation. And you may be feeling some fatigue, some Zoom fatigue, having your kids do school online, and it just might be exhausting. Some celebrations taking place online, and you're just feeling screen fatigue. Here's my encouragement. I hope you get to press through that. We've been seeing some great encouragement from some of these virtual connection points. I would strongly encourage you, jump into one of these virtual life groups. We have a summer series coming up, and for some life groups, they're going to continue over the summer. Some are going to stop. But if you're looking for a way to connect, I'd strongly encourage you to take a try at these virtual communities that are continuing to take place. And then I hope at some point we're going to walk. We're going to walk, and that will look like actually physically gathering in these smaller settings, different ministries, different watch parties, actually continuing to engage online, but doing it in smaller settings. I can't wait for what that would look like. Again, inviting one of my neighbors to a watch party to engage in a service with us in our home. And then third, we're looking forward to Run, where we do have pieces in place where we can gather here on our campus and continue to be the church. And so again, I've counted it a great privilege to be one of the pastors here at Hillcrest during this time. Been so encouraged by your response, your faith, and long for the day when we get to be together back as the church, learning some things, doing some things differently, but continuing to gather as the church, where we get to help people find life in Jesus' name. So Continue to pray, and we look forward to seeing you soon.